Namaskaram, dear children. Today we are going to discuss about a new lesson. It is from geography. Sun, the ultimate source. Sun, the ultimate source. That's the name of the lesson that you can see. You please take your textbook. In the beginning of that lesson, you can see two maps. Two maps are given. And in that map, you can see the map of India. These two maps are representing 2 months, December and June. You please examine that map. You can see the temperature that is given there in different regions of India, including Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir. That are given there in our textbook. In Thiruvananthapuram, in Kerala, in December 32 degrees Celsius and in June 33 degrees Celsius. There is only 1 degree difference in temperature between these 2 months. In Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, in December 33 degrees Celsius and in June 34 degrees Celsius, 1 degree difference. And in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, 32 in December and 33 in June. There is also, we can see, only 1 degree difference between these 2 months. Here December is in winter season and June is in summer season. Then also there are no much difference in temperature in the regions that are near to sea or near to ocean. But you may see there in the place in Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh, 23 degrees Celsius in December, but 36 degrees Celsius in June. 23 and 36. 13 degrees Celsius difference is there. And in Delhi, you can see in December it's 21 degrees Celsius, but in June 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, a huge difference you can see here. A huge variation. The places that are far away from sea, we can see that a huge variation in the temperature. You please examine that map carefully. A lot of things that we can understand from this map. In these two maps, we can see that the temperature availability in different part of India, that is different. There are some factors responsible for this difference. We will study about these factors in this lesson. At first, we are going to study the source of the energy or the temperature that we are experiencing is the solar light or the solar rays that we are receiving. The solar energy or the solar light or the solar rays that we are receiving upon the earth's surface is called as insolation. Insolation is the solar energy that we are receiving upon the earth's surface. Solar rays that we are experiencing or that are reaching upon the earth's surface. The solar rays that are reaching upon the earth's surface are as short waves. So, short wave rays from the sun that reaching upon the earth's surface is known as insolation. Insolation. The part of earth that is facing sun is getting this solar energy, or the solar light or the solar rays, and that part is getting heated. And the part of the earth that is getting heated, it will transfer the heat to the atmosphere in different ways. That are also given there in our textbook. You please see that. Here you can see different process of transferring heat to the atmosphere. You please examine this picture, this diagram, this table that is given there in our textbook. Conduction. That's the first one. Conduction. Heat is transferred to that part of atmosphere close to the hot surface of the earth. That is called as conduction. Convection. That's the second one. Heated air expands and rises up. That is called as convection. And next, advection. Horizontal transfer of heat by wind is called as advection. Next one is terrestrial radiation. Heat is transferred from the surface of the earth to the outer space in the form of long waves are called terrestrial radiation. These are the four processes of heat transfer in the atmosphere. As a result of the solar energy that is received by the earth's surface as short waves, as insolation, the earth's surface is getting heated and then it will transfer the heat to the atmosphere. The different process of transferring heat that we have seen in the textbook. And the first three processes that are only transferring the heat to the part of atmosphere that are closer to Earth's surface. And the fourth one, terrestrial radiation or the re-radiation from the Earth's surface, that is transferring heat to outer space. It is not mere transferring heat to the closer surface or the closer portion of the atmosphere, but to the outer space. That is why it is heating. It is the major reason for heating atmosphere. Terrestrial radiation or the re-radiation. Terrestrial radiation or the re-radiation is the major source of heat in the atmosphere, temperature in the atmosphere. Here the next thing that we can see in our textbook, that is heat budget. Heat budget that we can see here. What is heat budget? A picture is given there in our textbook that you can see here. A picture that is showing heat budget. And from this picture we can see that the solar energy that is reaching upon the earth's surface, we have studied already. It is called as insolation. The solar energy that is reaching upon the earth's surface, that is called as insolation. At the time of insolation, the solar energy or the solar light or the solar rays that will be reflected to outer space. A portion of the solar energy that will be reflected. A portion will be absorbed by the clouds in the atmosphere. And then remaining portion will only be reached upon the earth's surface. All that we can see here in the picture that is given there in our textbook. You please see that picture in your textbook. And from this picture we could understand that at the time of insolation, 35% of solar energy that is reflected to space, outer space by the atmosphere, and 14% will be absorbed by the clouds. 14% is absorbed by the clouds that you can see here in the picture, and the remaining 51% is reaching upon the earth surface. If we are considering solar energy that is received by the atmosphere and the earth surface as 100 units, 35 unit is reflected, 14 unit is absorbed by the clouds, and 51 unit is received by the earth surface. And at the time of re-radiation, what is happening? 34% is absorbed by the cloud, and only remaining 17% is returned to outer space. This is called as heat budget. Budget means it is a statement that is showing the income and the expenditure. Budget, it's a term in economics that we are studying in the economics chapter. Budget. It is a balanced budget. Heat budget is a balanced budget. You can see a table in our textbook that will explain how this heat, income and expenditure that are balanced. You please see that table. Amount of energy reflected by the atmosphere and the earth surface, that is 35 units. Energy reaching the earth surface, that is 51 units. Energy held by the atmosphere, that is 14 units. And 51 and 14, that is 65. 65 units that are received by the atmosphere and the surface of earth. And as a result of direct terrestrial radiation, 17 units are returned to space. Re-radiation from the atmosphere, it is 48 units. Is 48 plus 17, 65 units are returned to space. The total energy received by the atmosphere and surface of earth is 65 units, and the total energy radiated back from earth surface and atmosphere is also 65 units. That's why we can call the heat budget as a balanced budget. And we already studied that the major reason for the atmosphere getting heated is terrestrial radiation. So the maximum temperature that is experienced by the atmosphere will happen at the time of maximum terrestrial radiation. So the maximum temperature in the atmosphere that is experienced at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. we will experience the maximum temperature in the atmosphere. And the minimum temperature is experienced when the lowest terrestrial radiation that is occurring. That is just before the sunrise. Because at the time of sunrise, the sun rays will fall upon the earth surface. Again the terrestrial radiation will start. just before starting terrestrial radiation or just before the sunrise, the minimum temperature that is experienced in the atmosphere. The difference between the maximum temperature experienced in a day and the minimum temperature experienced in a day, the difference between the maximum and the minimum temperature experienced in a day is called as diurnal range of temperature. Diurnal range of temperature. And the average temperature experienced in a day is called as daily mean temperature. Daily mean temperature and the diurnal range of temperature. And we can see a map in our textbook, a nest map. In that map you can see some lines are given. Some lines are drawn in that map. That lines are connecting the places that are having equal temperature. Equal temperature. The imaginary lines that are drawn upon the map by connecting the places having equal temperature is called as isotherms. Isotherms. So the lines that are you are seeing there in that map, that are isotherms, the imaginary lines that are connecting the equal temperature upon a map, that is called as isotherm. Please see that map. And in the beginning of this lesson we told that the temperature availability in different part of India, that is different. In different part of the world also the temperature availability is different. In different part of earth the availability of temperature, the availability of sun rays, that is different. That's why the availability of temperature is also different. That is depending upon some factors. Here we are going to study about the factors that are influencing the distribution of temperature. The distribution of temperature in Earth's surface that we are studying here. The first factor, that is latitude. Latitude. Second factor is altitude. And next one it is nearness to ocean. And the next factor, that is wind. These are the four factors that are influencing the distribution of temperature. And here we can see how these four factors are influencing the distribution of temperature. The first factor we told that it is latitude. The 0 degree latitude, that is called as equator. And latitudes are the lines that are drawn around the globe, around the earth. And the parallel lines to the equator, that are called as latitudes. When the degree of latitude that is increasing, it will reach a polar region. 0 degree latitude is equator, 90 degree latitude is pole, north pole and the south pole. When the degree of latitude that is increasing, temperature get decreased. Maximum temperature will be experienced upon the Earth's surface is in the equatorial region. And the minimum temperature that is experienced upon the Earth's surface is in the North Pole and the South Pole. In polar region, the temperature is low. Here, latitude is the first factor that is responsible for the difference in temperature in the atmosphere. From the equatorial region to polar region, when the degree of latitude that is increasing, the temperature get decreased. And the next factor, it is altitude. Altitude means height from sea level. Height from sea level is called as altitude. When the altitude increase, you can see here a picture. You please see this picture. When the altitude increase, the temperature decreased. That's why the high altitude regions upon the earth's surface, we will experience low temperature. While we are going to the hill stations like Munnar, Kodaikanal, Idukki and Wayanad, such regions, the temperature is less. Low temperature we will experience. And the mountain regions like Himalaya, that is covered with snow. This is a result of low temperature there. When the height increase, when the altitude increase, the temperature get decreased. And the next factor that is influencing the temperature variation, that is nearness to ocean or nearness to sea. In the first map that we studied in this lesson, we could see that the temperature difference in Thiruvananthapuram, in Chennai, in Mumbai, in such regions, the temperature difference in different months that were very less. And here also in a table that is given there in our textbook, the temperature difference in different regions of India that are given there in that table. You please see that. Thiruvananthapuram, 33 degrees Celsius maximum temperature, minimum temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. And the range of difference, range of temperature, that is 5 degrees Celsius, maximum and minimum. The difference between the maximum and the minimum is 5 degrees Celsius. But here the Bengaluru, it is far away from ocean. 35 degrees Celsius is the maximum temperature and 23 degrees Celsius is the minimum temperature. The difference is 12 degrees Celsius. And in Delhi, 38 degrees Celsius is the maximum temperature and the minimum temperature is 21 degrees Celsius. And the difference is 17 degrees Celsius. And in Goa, it is near to sea, near to ocean. 33 degrees Celsius is the maximum temperature and 27 degrees Celsius is the minimum temperature. Difference is only 6 degrees Celsius. And from this table, it is very clear that in the places that is near to ocean, the temperature variation is less, and places that are away from ocean, that the temperature variation that is high. Wind is the next factor that's influencing the distribution of temperature. When the hot wind occur, the temperature will be increased. When the cold wind occur, the temperature will get decreased. In such a way, wind will also influence the temperature distribution. And about the global distribution of temperature and other things that we will discuss in our next class. Now we are going to wind up. Namaskaram.